Welcome back to the episode. Coming to you all, it's August 26th. Feels like the days are just dragging by. Just waiting for football season. We do have some Saturday, week zero, finally kicking off. But what this episode is going to consist of is we're going to be chatting through a little bit of a schedule prediction, win loss deal here. Um, See what Michigan will be able to do this year. Got a pretty tough schedule. I think we're looking at one, two, three, four, five, six ranked teams. And it's gonna see what they cut out for, what they made of. So yeah, what we'll do is really just start from the first one and go all the way down through. Just talk through, their schedule, their records, last year, a little bit of just what they have from a starter standpoint, and whatnot. But um, yeah, we'll jump right in, E. Just want to kind of see your thoughts. You got Western Michigan, 10-4 last year, won the MAC, won the bowl game, but they are Western Michigan. So I just want to see your thoughts on how you see that game turning out.
Yeah, so you mentioned that on the kind of the pre-prep, they were going 10-2, winning the bowl game last year. Both things I was unaware of. So I, I guess just for the sake of time, I would say obviously I think we're going to come out with a dub on this one, and a team that was coming off a lot of momentum last year. They might be ready to fire. Might not. It might be a good first game for us. Kind of somebody
Hmm.
who is good, not going to lay down and just take an ass whooping. So something we could kind of grind our sword with.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's a pretty easy W. So starting off with strong momentum, but then that's where you got really got 1 week to prepare for a big time matchup. We got Oklahoma rolling in September 12th. Um, High noon. I love to see that. Love that. But yeah, a little bit on them. Finished 10-3 last year. Lost to Bama in the first round of the playoffs. Um, Returning 14 starters, second most in the country. Um, John Mateer, solid quarterback. They also got one of our guys, Cole Sullivan. I just put two and two together there. But yeah, what do you think about that game? I know. What do you think about that game? Thoughts and like outcome wise?
Yeah. So I think last year we went down there with an 18-year-old freshman with one start under his belt, and all things considered, I felt like it was one of those games where I felt like if we would get our stuff together at any point in time, we would have captured some momentum and probably won that game. I think it finished what 14-13, or sorry, 24-13, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, Bryce kind of a deer in headlights at moments, so I think that baptism down there on the road, and then rebounding coming up this year. Now, as far as Cole Sullivan, that's not going to have as big of an impact as normal years might because completely different coaching staff. Lingo
Hmm.
coaching staff, and obviously a great player when he was with us for a little bit, but I definitely hope Bryce meet him in the hole and just straight truck sticks him. That's kind of welcome to the big house from the other side type of situation. But what I think about this game here is I really think is gonna I'm gonna hang a lot on this game, probably more than I should either way. Um, but I'm personally gonna hang a lot on this game. I think people are hyping up Oklahoma again. John Mateer came back again. Like I talked about last time, it looks like he's on steroids. They got a lot of momentum on their side. The coach just got a big deal, signed, you know, back up the Brinks truck to him. So I think all of that is perfect for the brewing for us to come in and just kind of capture a first signature win for Kyle Whittingham, first big signature win for Bryce Underwood. Kind of really take that crown, and I think you need a clean game from Bryce. Take care of the football, and I sounds like I'm talking a lot, but that's kind of what I'm looking forward to is just good, clean football, play tough football, and I think we're going to have the surprise sneak attack, and you don't really know what they're going to do with Bryce.
Yeah. Yeah. No. No. I think, like you said, it's gonna be this real big test. I think this game can really, you hate to say it, I mean, it's really dictate the outcome of the season. Like, I think this is one, you lose this at the end of the season, by any means, but if you win it, it can set it up to, postseason football. So, that it could go either way. I mean, I do think if you were to ask me today, I think just off of, high noon, probably gonna be a big noon kickoff game. I think they got the Mays out. Um, I think Bryce, taking that step forward. I think they will. I think this is going to be what they are going to be able. I think it's going to be kind of like the coming out party. I think we'll be able to get this one.
I agree, and I just to second on that. I think the best is the tale of both sides. I think we do not know what they are going to do with Bryce. And as far as are we going to, I think for game one, very vanilla offense, probably very vanilla defense as well. But
Hmm.
offensively, we're not going to show anything. The second week is when we don't know. I'm sure they'll look at some old game tape of his, but is he going to come out with the Cam Newton type playbook? Is he going to come out with uh, name Vince Young, name your type quarterback
Yeah,
from that, Tim Tebow. I mean, I don't know what. I mean, I feel like he really has the skill set to do any of that, and it just kind of really lock in. And I think that surprise sneak attack could really get us that a win. I don't want to say an undeserving win, but maybe a win that you might not get in most situations, but just due to we don't know what they have up their sleeve with him yet.
hmm,
Like, we can early jump out and then rely on that defense to try to take care of the rest. But I
yeah,
am personally looking forward to winning this game here. I think, and that would immediately slingshot us into talk of the town. And
yeah,
so
yeah. No, I think one thing too, man. Like I know that obviously, we know what Bryce is going to do. I think he's going to take that step forward. But I think one thing I'm excited this run game. That's something else that I think it's going to be a lot of juice in that backfield right now. And yeah, definitely hope that we lean on that as well to to help him out a little bit and keep that, you know, keep the uh keep the chains moving, keep the box, keep the box light. Or I mean, obviously pass game, keep the box light, but hope we do rely. I'm sure we're gonna rely on that run game as we have in the past. So, but it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be new. Like we've literally watched kind of the same. Like you kind of go in the same season, kind of expecting the same thing for so long, but like we don't really know what's coming.
I agree because
We have
even
an
going
idea.
back going back to Harbaugh, I mean, we know that was we knew we were getting, but it all kind, we didn't always. And
Yeah,
then Sharon Moore was what it was, and that's what it is. That whole decade and some change was really the same tree, and then
yep,
you're getting a guy who's been doing his own thing 2,000 miles to the West Coast.
yeah,
And so, I think that this one where I think we get that, and then we get a little bit of room to breathe. Like you said, you bring up UTEP and just kind of what they've been through, and then you brought up the irony of UTEP having to play Oklahoma first, and then slingshot it,
yeah,
and then we play them, and then so I think you get out of the Oklahoma game, you slide into UTEP, and then it looks like you start prepping for Big Ten play. So I think both of us would agree probably a dub at UTEP
yeah,
coming to us and getting a
yeah.
dub. You said they were 2-10 or something last year, so I think
Hmm.
maybe a rude awakening coming in for them that game. But just kind of slide into Big Ten play. Iowa never a slouch, but how do you feel about Iowa? Kind of what they're bringing to the table this year, and
Yeah, not Iowa, 9-4 last year. You already know what they bring to the table. I mean, they're always, top 25 defense. And, I mean, they are always going to be just, they're going to slow the game down. They're going to force you into mistakes. They're going to kill you on try to kill you on special teams. So I think, it's always just been, a talent gap there, call it what it is, but it's always one of them games that it's like you call it a trap game. They probably mess around. We don't know what time it is yet. They're 22 in the country. They might be undefeated. We could be undefeated. could very well be, one of those spots where it looks a little, it'll look, probably a bigger game at that time comes than it looks on paper right now. But I think Michigan will definitely have enough to. Um, I think one thing I keep hearing more about is defense. So if this defense comes out rolling, I think that's going to put us in pretty favorable positions to be able to, you know, Bryce come out hot, we really get going. But if he, need a little, some time getting up to speed, like hopefully we rely on the defense to carry, in the meantime. But I think they'll have enough to take care of Iowa at home.
Yeah, I think Iowa, they do always kind of put the fear of God in you a little bit. The team you gotta come correct against. You
Yeah.
can't, that Iowa can't be the game where you decide to have the 3-pick game.
Hmm.
That's a loss. So,
Right. Yeah.
and just looking here, it looks like Iowa had the ninth best defense in the country last year. So, there that travels well. But as far as traveling well, the one thing I will say is Iowa's game sliders, if you will, seems to get turned up like 1.5 at home. So
Yeah.
for the fact that
Yeah.
you're coming to us, yeah, the
The
game
night
sliders are a little
games.
more stingy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The
Yeah.
night games, they got the children
Little
staying in the back, they got
tradition. Yeah.
rocking. So
They try to like soften you up and like rip your heart out at the same time. Like it just yeah, they beat some teams down there for sure. Some big time teams.
yeah, no,
Um
don't, and they're just looking for you to muff a punt or something like that. They're just looking for that little bit of blood in the water. So the fact that they're at home, I like that, and
hmm
I think another one of those games where you see the maturity of Bryce Underwood because but hopefully by then someone like a Savion Heitler would be in full stride. He would have been getting
hmm
worked in. Um, Buchanan and Marsh. Hopefully, all these guys they're beginning to get really really hit their stride with each other, and begin to see if Oklahoma would have showed that as well. But like I said, the surprise sneak attack might even inflate those numbers. I'm hoping, but even
hmm
by now, if you can replicate that versus Iowa, now you're saying, hey, we really got something here. Bryce threw for
Yep.
250 and ran for 100 and whatever versus Iowa. Boom, boom. And like you said, it might be both undefeated and Iowa. Their Achilles heel is they just can't seem to muster no offense, and
hmm
so they might even have a game early on where they drop 35 or something. Like maybe is this the year? So I think they will always put
Yeah,
a little bit extra mustard on that game.
for sure.
Feeling good about it up there, and now that Minnesota, rowed a boat, it's kind of lost its mustard to me a little bit. They
Yeah.
they're just kind of
I mean they're just a
they don't
good
seem
middle
to be rolling anymore.
team. Like they're just a middle of the road. They were I think 8-5 last year. Just got a solid running back, returned their quarterback. Quarterback's below average. Running back is solid. Detroit kid, if I'm not mistaken. Darius Taylor. He had last time we played him, he had
Okay.
like buck 22 touchdowns. So, it just might be night game, you know, whatever that looks like. They could be kicking off their season pretty well. I haven't looked at their schedule, but yeah, but I think, going there, first road game of the season. It's also interesting. Kind of has trap vibes. They 4-1, night game,
Yeah.
you know, but I think
I
that is one that they go ahead and
I
get.
think a lot of these games secretly have the night or have the trap game feel because we have four heavy hitters spread out throughout
Yeah.
this schedule. So it's, you could look at even that Penn State before you play Indiana, or like you said, or Minnesota before you play Penn,
Yeah.
or or State before you play Oregon, or I think you got
Yeah, man.
you got a couple of those in there where because I'm not sure if you're going to mention it or not, but the you're looking at like undoubtedly a top 10 strength of schedule in college football. You got four in the top 10 and six in the top 25.
Yeah.
So I think that's half the schedule is ranked, and the other half is in the playoffs. So I think
Yeah, that November
you're
looks like hell. We ain't got November yet, but
yeah.
yeah.
So no, so I think you go to the Penn State.
Yeah.
Uh,
Penn State gonna be
I think this is interesting. I'm gonna have to really do a dive in on how many people kind of left that program when old boy got fired and who's there and who's not. I really don't know, but I think
Franklin
by
said
then
I'm
we
leaving.
will. By mid October, we'll have to.
Franklin said I'm leaving with I need my guys. I'm taking he took a lot of guys. And then Campbell, I think the interesting thing about this, Campbell, it's about him for the Michigan job at one point. He's been linked to like NFL jobs. He's been linked to a lot of big
Mhm.
jobs in college. I don't think this time around I don't know what all happened. I don't think it was, he might have already been with Penn State by the time Michigan job opened. But I know, like, I think before they got Harbaugh, I think they might have been considering him. Maybe around that time, Iowa State had them kind of like you know, I'd say they're kind of like, you could probably kind of like the Penn State of the Big 12. I think they're, top four, top six team, most times.
Mhm.
Play Iowa tough. They played them, I think they played them like second game of the season. So but I think this is kind of like, once again, even Whittingham got two guys, Big Ten. How are you going to look, halfway through the season? Getting that first taste of a Big Ten schedule.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
No, I agree. I think no, it's kind of choppy a little bit for a minute. We good though. Um, but I think the Penn State is interesting because I think by then we'll know a lot about it. Right now, I'm not have no fear at all regarding Penn State. But like you said, maybe potentially a little bit of a trap game vibe, especially if Indiana does what they're supposed to do.
Hmm.
You know, yeah. So, but no,
Yeah.
I think we both agree, Dub. So we're sitting there at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-0.
Yeah. Yeah. Potentially 6-0. I mean,
Yeah,
I
we ain't
love,
biased.
60. So what? What'd you say?
I said we ain't biased. I said
Yeah, no, right. I was gonna say 6-0, 5-1. I think that'd be ideal. At that point, the 6-0 would be more than ideal.
yeah,
But yeah, you got Indiana, and yeah, obviously won it all last year, 16-0. Um, Lost quarterback, two running backs, starting receivers. I think they're center, guard, starting corner, 2, 3 D linemen. Uh,
yeah,
but they did reload a little bit. They got a quarterback from TCU. That's solid. They got a guy we're familiar with. Nick, I think his name is Nick Marsh. Was at MSU. Um,
yeah.
Transferred. So I imagine he's backed up everything he says he's gonna do. So I imagine I could see it two ways with them. It could be 7-0, or it could. I don't know what their schedule looks like either, but maybe drop a game or two. I think they do have a pretty big game in their top six. But yeah, um, that's gonna be a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, I think I'd be blaming this. I think Kirsten Ignetti is a good coach. Clearly, I think he's a good coach, but I think it's going to be hard to replicate what they did last year. And I do think there was something to the fact that their average age was like 2.5 years older than anybody else they were playing.
Yeah.
And, I think so. A bunch of guys coming over from that been in his same program for 4 or 5 years. I think so. All of that is going to be hard to do. You're getting guys who just got there, back in June. So,
Yeah.
but no, look at this. I guess call it what you want. They play Ohio the week before us, and that's their first test. Other than that, they don't play anybody.
Like nobody,
They play
nobody.
Howard, North Texas, Howard, uh, Northwestern, Western Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. Us.
Wow.
So we might
Okay.
not really know who. I'm saying they could be sitting there at 4-0 looking pretty, and then Ohio beat the fuck out of them, and then we could be like, hey,
Okay. Yeah.
they ain't
Yeah.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
I think it's gonna be kind of hard to reload that team. Like, that was like a lot of guys from like JMU on that team, you know what I'm saying, that transferred over there like the first year, like, they were there for 2 years. Like, I don't think they was able to reload like that. Um,
yeah.
so I don't think they got like, talent in the cupboard, like, Ohio, like us, Ohio, you know what I'm saying? Some of these other teams, do, just given how much they had to kind of bring in to get to where they got to. But yeah, they could either be 10-2, 11-1, or like 9-3, kind of on the back end,
Yeah.
of their schedule. Um, but I do think that's one that, I mean,
I
it's
think
up
I'm
in the,
up in there. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
yeah. Um,
I
I think
feel oddly, I kind of feel more confident in this than I do the Oklahoma game,
I do
just
too.
because
Yeah.
I want Indiana to prove it. Yeah, because I want them to prove it to me again. But I think I will say this: in my heart of hearts, we're splitting. If we don't win both, we're splitting it between Rutgers and Oklahoma. So I think either way, like you said, at this point we're 7-1
Yeah.
or 8-0.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I'm
I
with you
think.
there. And we got,
You just got to show me again. And then the schedule's working out, and I'm sitting there looking at it. You're gonna beat the fuck out of them first three teams, and then Northwestern, Rutgers, Ohio. It's just I don't know. It's kind of
yeah,
I feel like that's kind of a good recipe for like, hey, they're inflated to who they really are.
to get to like third in the country, like, and then, yeah, like it'll,
Versus us coming in there battle tested. We got Oklahoma under our belt. We got Iowa under our belt. We have Penn State under our belt. We got
yeah, like a real, like, I mean, that is like that's okay, a 10-minute mark. It's a nice start to the yeah, that's like you said, definitely be battle tested. So it'll be really interesting to see what we can get, what happens there. But yeah, for the sake of time, Rutgers. I can see this being, at Rutgers, a little night game on Halloween, a little interesting, interesting matchup. But I don't think that, they were 5-7 last year. I don't see that being an issue. Michigan State, new coaching staff, Pat Fitzgerald. He's bringing his Wildcat ways to MSU. You know,
Mr.
you
Car
got
Wash.
going on there. Yeah,
Mr. Car Wash.
yeah, all that going on. What's interesting about their roster? I think they got the oldest roster in the country or in the conference. So I don't really know what to make of that. The experience work in your
Yeah.
favor is MSU, so it's gonna be a little different. And it's kind of crazy. We're far removed from like how's the toxicity gonna look. You got different coaching staffs. I think a lot of it was like D'Antonio, like Tucker. Got a lot of both like fresh blood both ways. So it'd be interesting to kind of see how that matchup looks.
Yeah, they gotta this is what I will honestly say. I think Pat Fitzgerald is at least a real Big Ten coach. He's
Yeah,
gonna get them maybe not this year, but he'll get them back physical. He'll get them, you know, that that trending in the right direction.
yep,
As far as this year, I don't. I mean, they're hyping up that the quarterback. I can't think of his name. After Charles left or whatever. Went out down last year. I think his last name starts with an L, but they're hyping him up. I just don't see it. They're
yeah.
looking real. You know, Duke Mayo Bowl maybe.
5-7,
six
6-6.
6. Yeah.
Yeah, 4-8
So.
last year. So I mean that's that'd be successful season for them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Then going to Oregon, you got Dante Moore, Michigan kid. Um, you got they're gonna be loaded. I mean
Yes.
they look like they got a guy. They look like Georgia now. Just trenches both sides. Speed on the outside. He's got him going. But I don't know. Like I said, I think we got a lot of talent too. And it's gonna be an interesting matchup though. Having to go out there, that's gonna be a tall task.
That'd be for the big boys. I think. I mean, looking in my heart of hearts right now, I say this probably be. I don't feel great about it. I don't.
Yeah.
I think, and if you can take care of business and still probably lose this, um, and so I think they got probably the top pick quarterback on. Unless unless Archie Manning comes out and has a crazy year. He's probably top quarterback off the board. Would have been top quarterback last year.
Yeah,
Like hogs all around. They got a dude that could start at any other Big Ten team minus 3 teams sitting on their bench. They got,
yeah,
so, but uh, and it's out there. I just think you're traveling halfway across the country. They're liable to have it should be a night game or something. So I think you still could drop that and take care of business overall. But in my heart of hearts now, I say that's probably a L.
yeah. And be comfortable with that loss. I mean, I think this is probably the ones that you look at the schedule, like big picture, kind of like, okay, you can identify 3 games where it could be potential losses. I think this is one that's like, wouldn't feel as bad about this one.
Yeah.
Especially if you are, you know, 9-0 going into that game. 8-1, you're like, okay, now it's like now the last one is it's already big, but then now it could be monumental. I mean, it could be who gets in, who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it gets to be like this last month of the season is like
It's the gauntlet.
it could literally start to be like playing games. So,
That's what I was
so
just gonna. I was just gonna say, yeah, because I think
yeah,
we
because we can yeah we can
UCLA, we can leapfrog
gloss
over
over
that.
them.
Yeah.
But there are scenarios where Ohio got to go to Texas, I think week 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think they might be going the same, same
Yeah, because we
weekend.
signed that contract with Oklahoma and they signed it with them. So yeah, we played. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, they could. And then they got Indiana. I don't really know what their schedule, what theirs, what theirs looks like.
India. I had that shit up earlier. I just clicked away actually, but
'Cause I think, yeah, I wonder because I know that we know they got Indiana for sure. I just wonder, if you got Texas out the gate, it probably looks similar to how ours looks. Got a non-conference, big game, non-conference, then get in a Big Ten play, I imagine.
yeah, let me see if I can pull it up. But no, I think the way it would kind of play out looking in this, like you said, we'll be rolling in this one. What would that be like? 8-1, 9-0, 8-1, 7-2. If everything goes bad, and I still think if those losses are to the right people, you can get in with a win here.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, looking at it, they open up at Ball State, then they got down at Texas, Iowa, Maryland, USC, Oregon,
At USC.
at USC, Oregon's at home, on the road at Nebraska, and then us. So yeah, that's pretty tough.
So Oregon, Ohio, Michigan all play each other in the span of a month.
Yeah, those basically are playing games. Because if we
See,
if we if we beat Oklahoma, it's really a seeding game. It's really
mhm. It could be, first round bye, home field advantage, not have home field advantage. You still got the
New
Big Ten
Oregon and Indiana.
championship.
New Oregon and Indiana play.
There could be a rematch in the Big Ten championship.
That- Imagine playing Ohio and then turn around and play them again the next week.
Yeah, yeah, not ideal. Not ideal.
But it wouldn't. But in those crazy scenarios, it wouldn't hurt. You would still get in. As much as
Right.
as much as
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to, you'd be like, damn.
Yeah, 'cause that's just like, I mean, you might, I mean, what do you, like, we used to send this, like, how about everybody's twos just play? Everybody just put their twos out there. Because I do think, I mean, I mean, that's obviously, I mean, let's chat about that briefly too. I think those conference championship games have to be eliminated at some point. I think you have to go NFL format.
Yeah, they're probably trending that direction. Yeah.
Because they don't have any value. I mean, I think they carry value in certain situations, but then you can also turn around and say, okay, Bama lost, and then they were like they were 10-3. They're like, all right, like we're not gonna punish you for losing to because you're gonna be losing like a top 3 team most
Right.
likely.
No, so I think to put it in a nutshell, I think if you win one of those three or one of those four big games, you're probably on the bubble. If you win two, I think you're in.
Yeah.
Three or more, you're talking, I don't know. You're talking Auburn coming up to the big house in December for a home game. So, I think so. That's kind of how I play it out. The one, starting with the one, if you get one of them, you're in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Two and up, you're probably in it. And that's why that second week is such a big thing. That's a whole another point.
I'm rooting hard for Texas. Hey.
I've always been kind of a half Texas.
I watched that Vince Young documentary. Got to relive the Rose Bowl win.
As a avid Vince fan, I could do a whole nother document on this. You want to fire back up? As an avid Vince fan, I feel like that documentary could have been done better.
It could have been. I feel like he leaned a little too into the negative. I'm like, why are we being so like? I wish it was more like a positive spin to it.
That too. And I didn't even finish it. As soon as they started going too much off the negative, I was like, boop.
Oh, yeah.
But regardless, I'm like, they didn't talk about it because the coming out game was the Michigan game. That put him on the spotlight.
Yeah.
Then the whole next year was, can he get it done? I feel like they didn't do it enough justice.
Yeah.
But no, we got games coming up. We're gonna be back at you guys next week at some point. We'll be back.
Go Blue.
Go Blue. Peace.